ब्रजजान रंजन यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजान रंजन यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनातीरावनचारी हरे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव सुभद्रमाय जय सुदर्शन जय गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर जय गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर जय गौरांगी जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय आनंद नरसिंह जय आनंद जय वामन देव जय वामन देव वामन देव जय वामन देव जय निताय चैतन्य जय निताय चैतन्य निताय चैतन्य जय निताय चैतन्य जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हरे कृष्णा welcome to today's morning session on Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we are going to discuss on basically two verses, third canto, 31st chapter, movements of the living entities, and text number 10 and 11. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. So let's recite the verse number 10. आरभ्य सप्तमान मासाल लब्ध बोधोपि वेपितः नैकत्रास्ते सूतिवातैर् विष्ठा भूर इव सोदरः आरभ्य सप्तमान मासाल लब्ध बोधोपि वेपितः नैकत्रास्ते सूतिवातैर्विष्ठा भूर इव सोदरः आरभ्य सप्तमानन् मासाल लब्ध बोधोपि वेपितः नैकत्रास्ते सूतिवातैर्विष्ठा भूर इव सोदरः. Any of you would like to recite? Okay, so we will proceed with word by word translation. Word by word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arabhya, beginning. Saptamat Masat, from the 7th month. Labdha Bodha, endowed with consciousness. Api, although. Vepitaha, touched. No, not. Ekatra, in one place. Aste, he remains. Suti Vate, by the winds of childbirth. Vishthabhu, the warm. Iva, like. Sa Udaraha, born of the same womb. Translation. Thus endowed with the development of consciousness from the 7th month after his conception, the child is tossed downward by the airs that press the embryo during the weeks preceding delivery. Like the worms born of the same filthy abdominal cavity, he cannot remain in one place. Purport. At the end of the 7th month, the child is moved by the bodily air and does not remain in the same place. For the entire uterine system becomes slackened before delivery. The worms have been described here as Sodara. Sodara means born of the same mother. Since the child is born from the womb of the mother and the worms are also born of fermentation within the womb of the same mother, under the circumstances, the child and the worms are actually brothers. We are very anxious to establish universal brotherhood among human beings, but we should take into consideration that even the worms are our brothers, what to speak of other living entities. Therefore, we should be concerned about all living entities. Let's discuss the next verse. नाथमान ऋषिर्भीतः सप्तवध्रिः कृताञ्जलिः स्तुवीत तं विक्लवया वाचा येनोदरेर्पितः नाथमान ऋषिर्भीतः सप्तवध्रिः कृताञ्जलिः स्तुवीत तं विक्लवया वाचा येनोदरेर्पितः नाथमान ऋषिर्भीतः सप्तवध्रिः कृताञ्जलिः स्तुवीत तं विक्लवया वाचा येनोदरेर्पितः. Word by word meaning. Nathmanah, appealing. Rishi, the living entity. Bhitaha, frightened. Saptavadhrihi, bound by the 7 layers. Krita Anjalihi, with folded hands. Stuvita, praise. Tam, to the Lord. Viklavaya, faltering. Vacha, with words. Yena, by whom. Udare, in the womb. Arpita, he was placed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The living entity in this frightful condition of life, bound by 7 layers of material ingredients, prays with folded hands, appealing to the Lord who has put him in that condition. Purport. It is said that when a woman is having labor pains, she promises that she will never again become pregnant and suffer from such a severely painful condition. Similarly, when one is undergoing some surgical operation, he promises that he will never again act in such a way as to become diseased and have to undergo medical surgery. Or when one falls into danger, he promises that he will never again make the same mistake. Similarly, the living entity, when put into a hellish condition of life, prays to the Lord that he will never again commit sinful activities and have to be put into the womb for repeated birth and death. In the hellish condition within the womb, the living entity is very much afraid of being born again. But when he is out of the womb, when he is in full life and good health, he forgets everything and commits again and again the same sins for which he was put into that horrible condition of existence. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So we will actually discuss. There are several, this chapter is very important, very relevant to what is the movement of a soul, right, under the law of karma and under the direction of the Lord, as mentioned in the beginning of the chapter. Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopapadyate, right? So that's the beginning, right? Movement of any living entity is described. It is not necessarily of human being. Now the Lord Kapil Dev is describing in these verses, describing the condition of a human being in the womb. Because here, if someone is, praying Kirtanjali, right? Kirtanjali with folded hands, right? With folded hands. And if someone is able to, prays with folded hands. So of course, if it's a body of let's say a dog, right? Puppy is in the womb. Naturally, that puppy will not be in that body. That puppy will not be able to pray, right? Because there is no such awareness, So human being is special. The human form of life is very special. So in these verses, Lord is specifically describing the condition of human beings, actually, not any general living entity, right? So yeah. So now that's the context here, right? And the thing is, first of all, we have to understand by reading this, this frightful condition, right? This is a very bent position, right? It's not a sitting position or a standing position or lying comfortably horizontal in a horizontal posture. That's not the position. Position is very curved, right? Almost like bow, the arch of a bow, right? Something like that. And in the very limited space, the child is tightly packed, right? So it's a very stressful position, and it's called very frightful condition of life. So the child actually, human child actually suffers lots of distress with the posture, with biting of different insects. If they are small worms, if they happen to be there, they will be biting, sometimes biting, sucking, or whatever. So condition is very frightful. That's the whole situation. So that's why it's not pleasing situation. So what it also means is, it clearly indicates that the world is not a very good place for enjoyment, right? It is not, right? So that's the main indication here. Now let's suppose someone invites us, right? And invites us and says that there is a good party, good feast and party, or all sorts of fun will be there. and we are invited. When we go there, let's suppose one goes there, and then before entering the home of the host says to the guest that you have to stand in a nearby pit, which is full of abominable things. You have to stand there, or you have to be in a you have to go into the pit and be there in a bent position, submerged with pit. You have to submerge yourself in the abominable things in the pit. Be there for 9 minutes or 9 hours, and then come out, and then we will see about the party and enjoyment. So this is very awkward, right? Very weird talk, right? You think that you are going to join basically a party, very enjoyable experience over a couple of hours or some time, and before actually participating in that party, you have to be in the filthy pit, right? In a very difficult posture. So naturally, it means that basically, if the onset itself is so bad, pathetic, that means that finally, when you go away from this, that will also not be very welcome, very good situation, right? So it's a very parallel analogy is there, So let me close this, yeah. So it's a very parallel analogy, right? So we think, if the soul thinks that this material world is a place for enjoyment, and but what is the condition, or what is the situation practically for everyone? That one has to remain in either egg or in the uterus, right? For human being, it's 9 months. For elephants, it's even bigger. For example, elephants, I heard that 18 to 24 months, something like that. For human being, it's typically 9 months, right? And in that distressful condition, we are spending 9 months, and so that itself proves that this place finally where we are going to take birth, how can that be a place of enjoyment, right? That's the first understanding from this description, right? Now, in Bhagavad Gita also, we see or we remember chapter 8, verse 15, that Krishna says that this place is not for enjoyment. He says, Mamopitya punarjanma dukkhalayam asaswatam napnumanti mahatmana sansiddhing paramam gata. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion, they never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection, right? So that's the situation. The person who has constructed this material world, who has manifested this material world, he knows basically what is this place, right? So he has already described this world as Dukkhalayam or Saswatam, right? So that we should understand that we cannot make it, permanently happy, free from all distress. Distress means janma mrityu jara vyadhi, right? We cannot say that, okay, once we are born, janma happened. So jara vyadhi and death will, old age, disease and death, we will not go through that. We cannot say that. It is inevitable, and one has to go through it, right? Right. Then finally, Krishna says that in the entire material world, even if we go to some higher place, higher existence, where we don't have such a, we can avoid this kind of painful birth, right? So, for example, heavenly planet, or maybe even higher planets like Brahmaloka. Then Krishna says next verse, 8.16 Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma bhavana loka punaravartino arjuna mam upetya tu kvanteya punarjanma na vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, he never takes birth again. So this is the point, that in the whole material existence, whether we remain at the lower species or lower planetary system, or we go to higher species or higher planetary system, the fundamental problems of material existence cannot be avoided. Only by crossing over to the spiritual world, we can be free from this, and in ever increasing, we can be in a situation of ever increasing bliss or happiness. That is only possible in the spiritual world, not in material world. Even demigods are always afraid. The demons will attack. They will have to lose their kingdom, like that. So anyway, point is there are so many bad, painful experience one basically living entity goes, and human being, if one is fortunate enough, then only that particular soul in human form, infant or upcoming human body form, one is able to remember. Further, it will discuss that fortunate soul is able to remember the karma of his past 100 lifetime, right? Then one is able to basically he laments very pitiably, and then that fortunate soul is able to pray to the Lord. Not everyone, Now, point is, Bhagavatam is giving a very scary picture of the situation. It looks like very, very painful. It might look like, someone might say that Srimad Bhagavatam is selling fear, that we are selling fear, that by scaring, we are saying that you should engage in devotional service or connect back to, connect back with Krishna, right? But that's not the thing. We're not trying to, Srimad Bhagavatam is not trying to scare people, by scaring, you are saying that this is the only option. No, that's the reality of this material world. And why is the material world created? For our rectification, for the change in our attitude, essentially. That, sorry, the fundamental conception which we have is basically, even by staying away from Krishna, we can be independently happy. That's the fundamental incorrect attitude which this material world is intended to correct, rectify. That's the whole thing. So yeah, means that's the whole point. So Srimad Bhagavatam is not selling fear, forcibly it's not. Yeah, it's describing the reality. That's without a doubt it's true, right? And there are several such examples, right? We see in our material world only, right? If you see packs of cigarette, right? So it's a law of government, right? That they have to put some sort of danger mark or warning, right? A strong warning that smoking cigarette is injurious to health, right? If you see any, electric high tension electric wire going, right? So wherever there is it's possible that people might come nearby, they put a big danger sign there, right? So that danger sign on, similarly, if there is some hazardous element, right, or some product, right, powerful magnets or anything, chemical, biological, then big danger mark, big logo is painted, right? Why? Is it just for the sake of creating fear? No, actually, that is one thing that you should be afraid of touching high tension electricity wire or anything like that. But another thing is that if it is biological or chemical product, then it also serves the purpose that we should know how to handle this thing properly, right? So similarly, it's about material world. So these correct descriptions in our scriptures have been put so that we should know that, okay, this is a dangerous place. We should not plan to live here forever. And we cannot live anyway in the same body. Yeah, we can come in again with different body. That's a different thing. But we cannot be in the same body. And if we don't act in a certain way, we will have to continuously come and go, right? As Nityananda Prabhu says, whoever does not performs devotional service, and the life is wasted, khali elo or gelo. They just come and go. So that is again taking the body, different species of body again and again, and just dying, right? Without without serving the purpose of the rare human body, human life, right? So Bhagavatam is not selling fear, it is just giving us reality check. And as Prahlad Maharaj, if we reflect on, so let me open one, instructive prayer of Prahlad Maharaj, right? So first what he says when he, Prahlad Maharaj is called the Bhakta Shiromani or Bhaktaraj Prahlad Maharaj. Sorry. So here we see that he says, Nahang Vibhemi Ajitate Ati Bhayanakasya. He says that, see, other demigods were afraid of Nrsimhadev's form, right? But Prahlad Maharaj, he says that, I am not afraid of your form, okay? I'm certainly not afraid of your ferocious form. So basically, one need not be afraid of Lord's any form. But what one should be afraid of, that we'll see in next verse. Prahlad Maharaj is such an exalted devotee. He's the topmost devotee, right? best devotee, Srila Prabhupada used to say, right? And he's actually Bhakti Siromani. But he says, Trastosmi ham kripana vatsala dosahogra samsara chakra kadanad grasadang pranitaha. Baddha swakarma bhiru sattamate angri moolam pritopa varga sharanam uhaise kadanu. Let's say translation what he says actually, right? O most powerful, insurmountable Lord, who are kind to the fallen souls, I have been put into the association of demons as a result of my activities. And therefore, I am very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. He is not afraid of Lord's ferocious form, but he is afraid of Sansar Chakra. Sansar doesn't mean the rivers and, the desert or the mountains or the plain and other things. Sansar means the cycle of birth and death, coming and again, coming and going, right? Sansrati, it is Sansara. So, continuously coming in the cycle of birth and death, that is Sansar. Sansrati, like the continuous cycle, that is samsara, not the physical objects which we see in this world. So he says the condition of life, right? Your material existence, he is afraid of that. Of course, he is not afraid, that will be clear in later. That for a pure devotee, it's like a Vishwam Purna Sukhayati, because they never feel distress because they are always absorbed in the thoughts of Lord's pastimes, Krishna's pastimes. In this Prahlad Maharaj, yeah. So that will be expressed later. But the point is, one should be afraid of the material existence. It's not that everything is hunky dory. Things are fine. Sab theek hai. Sabko ek hi jagah jana. These kind of things are not good, thought process. So when will that moment come? When you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the ultimate goal for liberation from conditioned life. So I'm just trying to highlight what topmost devotee Prahlad Maharaj is expressing. He is afraid of the material existence, right? So it's one important thing I wanted to say. So that we saw. And then finally, what is mentioned in, elaboration on these topics by His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu, right? So he has written elaborate commentary. He says that Bhagavatam is not selling fear, but still a little fear can help one cut through the material attachments that hinder one from becoming attached to Krishna. So little bit, some care, alert, that being, always alert against a material contamination, that is always needed. Little fear, okay, not too much, but little. Otherwise, that's not a devotional service out of love, right? So it's also further mentioned in 2 verses, when Sukdev Goswami and Parshit Maharaj are discussing Lord Rishabdev's pastime, right? So there also 562 and 563, 2 places it's mentioned that one should be somewhat careful not to interact so much with material basically energy or enjoyment, right? He says that examples are given, what will happen if we play too much or enjoy too much material facilities. What is mentioned? Example, Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is topmost devotee, right? He is in charge of mode of ignorance. He is not under ignorance. He has control over mode of ignorance. But even him, Lord Shiva, right? He became agitated upon seeing the Mohini form of Lord Krishna. Of course, it's not really getting lusty towards an ordinary woman, because Lord Shiva has conquered the lust, right? And he burned to ashes the Cupid personified, right? That's why his name became Anang, the Cupid's form. Anang means without a form. But anyway, Lord Shiva, he became captivated by seeing Mohini form of Lord Krishna. Of course, that Mohini is Lord himself. So you cannot, or no one can actually, be not captivated by her. So that's one thing. But still, we are saying that Bhagavatam says that Lord Shiva becomes agitated upon seeing Mohini, right? Mohini Murti. And Saubhari Rishi, okay, let's take more relatable example, right? Saubhari Muni, yeah, he was performing basically austerities, tapasya, meditation, deep in the water of Yamuna, some lake within Yamuna. Big, earlier Yamuna was really big, and now it is a little shrunk, but we can understand that he was performing austerities, penances deep within the water. He created some cell, and there he thought that without any disturbance, he will be able to perform his austerities. But he also fell down from the mature stage of yogic perfection. And Ajamil example we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He was a very pious Brahmana, very good Brahmana, serving the Lord, worshipping the Lord in a very regulated way, very nicely. But he also fell down just by the sight of a prostitute conducting her business in the forest, right? So the point is, if a person like Ajamil, who was a great Brahmana, and Saubhari Muni, like these are human beings. See, Lord Shiva is a different person. He's not just a normal living entity. Yeah. So even by relating with human, normal Jiva Tattva, Saubhari, Rishi, Ajamil, and there have been several, Vishwamitra also, right? So they got agitated. Of course, Vishwamitra was not indulging or playing with material energy, but still not under full control of the situation. So we can understand that too much, interaction, careless interaction with material comfort or material enjoyment, that will lead us astray, right? So that's the danger. So one has to be careful in this material world. That is one thing, right? So we discussed that only some fortunate souls, right? They will be able to remember within the womb, right? Yeah, only some fortunate souls are able to remember, not everyone, right? And then they are able to remember their past life karma and they pray to the Lord, right? Now, what also happens, further it will come in this discussion, 23rd verse, this is 10th and 11th. In 23rd verse, it will describe that under the pain of birth, actually taking birth, right? That time the pain is so high and breathlessness is so high that living entity actually forgets what all he has prayed in the womb. That is mentioned. Due to breathlessness and too much pain during the birth, the living entity is made to forget this remembrance of prayers, etc., which he or she would have performed in the womb. 23rd verse, it is mentioned, right? Now, why is it done? Because the Lord wants basically us to exercise our free will. Whether out of our free will, whether we will pick up devotional service to Krishna or not, right? That's the intent there. Not that, by remembering the danger, again, that is mentioned in the scripture. So that information we can again refer. But purpose is that, it's completely on each individual to take the path of devotional service enunciated in the revealed scriptures out of one's own free will. That's the reason the soul entity is made to forget whatever one might have prayed in the womb, right? Or what the realizations, all those things, whatever one had in the womb, one is made to forget all that during the birth process. And if we don't take the full benefit of that, Srila Prabhupada pleads in the 9th verse that having obtained the human life, one must endeavor to cross over this vicious cycle of birth and death, right? Samsara, right? So if we don't basically take advantage, then what will happen? As Sankaracharya, Adi Sankaracharya, he has compiled in the Bhajagovindam, right? Punarapi Jannam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jathare Sainam, Yeh Sansare, Bahudustare, Kripaya Pare, Pahi Murare. So very succinctly, he has put the situation of material existence, born again, death again to stay in the mother's womb. It is indeed hard to cross this boundless ocean of samsara. Then what is the solution? He prays to Krishna. Oh Murari, redeem me through thy mercy. Right? That's the message. Amazing, most beautiful composition, that is Bhaja Govindam by Adi Sankaracharya. Of course, Jagannath Ashtakam is also there. That is also composed by him only. But this is Bhaja Govindam is another very beautiful composition, right? It gives only depicts the situation, what is the pitiable or pathetic condition, and attractions, and what we should do, all these kind of things, right? In a very open way. He does not, makes it smooth talk. He as Adi Sankaracharya, it came up spontaneously, actually. He did not sit down and write. In Varanasi, once he was, walking near the banks of Ganga, and he came across a very old man who was, very painstakingly trying to study Sanskrit Vyakaran at that old age. I was discussing with His Grace Vidwan Gaurang Prabhu long back that is it bad to study Sanskrit Vyakaran? And he said, no, there is a suitable time for everything. At very advanced age, if one is trying to understand Sanskrit Vyakaran, what's the use? That's a foolish. That's the first line of Bhajagovindam. He says that by looking at this person, old person, Adi Sankaracharya, he became very, like he condemned that person and chastised him. So he says that begins with Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhajamudamate, Samprapte Sannehite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshate, Dukring Karne, right? So that's like, yeah, let's see that actually, that, yeah, the first one. Yeah, here. Right? Worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda. Oh fool. Rules of grammar will not save you at the time of your death. Yeah. But it also doesn't mean that when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada books, then we should simply skip the word by word meaning and other things, right? And the sloka written here, we should not. So there is a difference. That is purely for the purpose of trying to become a scholar. But here, it is important if we go through word by word meaning. That's why Srila Prabhupada has painstakingly written the word meanings. Otherwise, why did he need to take so much trouble? So we have to understand. At the same time, we have to be intelligent, right? We have to utilize our common sense. Let's suppose we are very advanced in this. That time we came across, we came in contact with ISKCON, right? And we are starting chanting and we want to read Srimad Bhagavatam as soon as possible. That time it might be, it might make sense to skip some bit, but at least translation and purport we should not skip, right? So it depends on time, place, circumstance. But if we are in a young child or adolescent teenager, or we should not try to skip this in the name of that we don't want to become Sanskrit scholar. No, Srila Prabhupada also didn't want all of us to become plain Sanskrit scholar. But anyway, we got the point, right? So now that's the point that Adi Sankaracharya mentions this very importantly. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare sayanam, yah sansare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murari. Only by taking shelter of Murari, Krishna, basically we can cross over this sansara. Bhagavad Gita also he has mentioned, right? Many places, right? Mat Prasada Tarisase, that is 18th chapter. But before that, here, year 9th chapter and 7th chapter, right? So he mentions that 9.14, right? Devi Hesam Gunmai Mama Maya Duratteya, Mame Vya Prapadyante, Maya Metam Tarantite, right? So Krishna wants that, okay, under material energies influence, we forget it after the birth. Then he wants that, okay, he has given revealed scriptures all over the world, in different regions. There are some sorts of revealed scriptures. In Bharatvarsha, it's our fortune that he has given, the Lord Krishna has given the topmost knowledge, sweetest and topmost knowledge about how to understand God, how to re-establish our relation with Him, right? So that is the fortune of Bharatvarsha. That's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that we should first take advantage of this, make our life successful, human life successful, and then help others to, utilize their human life, right? Bharatvarsha Janma, he says like that, right? Janma Sartha Kari Kara Paropkar. So it's a special responsibility of citizens of Bharatvarsha that we are expert in Bhagavad Dharma, and then we help others. Or to become expert, we have to do a chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, minimum 16 rounds. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chanting and basically reading books of Srila Prabhupada, which is coming down from bona fide Vaishnava Acharyas, right? So by repeated reading, by chanting, right, every day, then we will be able to absorb this knowledge of Bhagavad Dharma in a proper way, right? We will know what are the activities of Krishna, how Krishna deals, what is his mood, right? All these things. We will know the details, so many aspects. Then only we will be able to preach properly, right? So like that. Books are the basis, chanting is of course given thing. That is the 0th step. Chanting is 0th step, and ABCD are like 4 steps, right? Association, book reading, chanting, and diet. Yeah. So anyway, coming back all the way, the situation in the womb, right? How the living entity is in a human form of life is able to pray, right? So when after taking the birth, right? So then if one should utilize human life, and then when there is a genuine inquisitiveness in the heart, right? What is purpose of life? Why are we existing on all that, right? Is there something superior? Can we get rid of this problem of birth, death? Then by Paramatma's inspiration, that person is able to meet a devotee, Vaishnava, right? Maybe Siksha Guru in the beginning and then later full-fledged Diksha Guru, right? So that is how we all came into contact of ISKCON, right? Through someone's outreach or based on our own internal inquisitiveness or search for the supreme, search for freedom, right? So practically everyone has come like that. Only some of us are born into Krishna consciousness, but majority are like that only, right? Brahmanda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahmanda Brahmite, Kona Bhagyavana Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bij. But it begins with the innate, internal inquiry. Same thing happened with Dhruv Maharaj. That was in different Satya Yuga. But point is, even today it happens. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. He also, and practically everyone, right? They all met, came in contact with Srila Prabhupada based on their first desire, right? Initial desire. That what is a spirituality? What is all that, right? Like that. So Giriraj Swami Maharaj wanted to, search for true spirituality and all that. Then Paramatma inspired him. Paramatma inspired some devotee to give him some pamphlet, something, and then eventually he saw some Nagar Sankirtan devotees or some, right? Eventually he landed up at temple and then, he attended Srila Prabhupada's discourse, right? And all that, right? Srila Prabhupada says, he asked some question, His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. I don't remember the question exactly, but then Srila Prabhupada responds to his question. That depends whether you want to serve God or you want to become God, right? So those were very insightful comments. Srila Prabhupada was very powerful Vaishnavacharya. Anyway, so here it says, Brahmanda Bhamite Kona Bhagyavanji, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bij. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Yeah, it's relevant to today's chapter and topic, the movement of living entity, right? So we can see here. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary system. Some of them are going down in lower planetary system. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. Basically, it's a reawakened, and then we have to do further cleaning by active hearing, like actively listening to Krishna's pastimes, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Krishna Prem is there, constitutionally part of the soul, but that avaran, right, that layer which is covering it, we have to clean with our own honest endeavor. That is what is actually intended. It's not separately imported. He says that you have to do Sarvanadi Siddha Chitta Karaya Udaya. Sarvanadi, hearing Krishna Katha is the most important actually, and chanting goes without saying, all this. Further, it's mentioned in the purport of that Chaitanya Charitamrita verse, Krishna is prepared to bestow his mercy upon all living entities. And as soon as living entity desires the Lord's mercy, the Lord immediately gives him an opportunity to meet a bona fide spiritual master. Such a fortunate person is fortified by both Krishna and the spiritual master. He is helped from within by Krishna, his Paramatma, Chaitya Guru, and from without, outside by the spiritual master, right? Like that. Now, it is further mentioned in the elaboration of these two purports, 10th and 11th, that in the rarity of human life, one must take advantage. It's what facilities Krishna has made available. See, he has kindly sent out bona fide, powerful Vaishnavacharyas. That is one. Especially, it is more fortunate for people living in India, Bharatvarsha, right? So bona fide spiritual masters are there. The scriptures with topmost revealed knowledge, that is also there, right? Even see from the Shanta Rasa, Dasya Rasa, Sakhya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, Madhurya Rasa, all such, the pinnacle, right, of relationship with Krishna, all such things are mentioned in our scriptures. That's our fortune, see, right? Scriptures are there, bona fide acharyas are there, right? And then environment are also like quite conducive in Bharatvarsha, comparatively compared to other places of the world, right? To perform pure devotional service unto Supreme Lord Krishna, right? So all such things are available. And there are many Siksha Gurus, so many devotees, preachers are available. Books are there, and temples are there. Prasad is Mahaprasad, Prasad is available. So many original spiritual places are there in Bharatvarsha, right? Jagannath Puri, Vrindavan, we can see so many places, Dwarka, Mathura, right? So many places. Rameswaram, Sri Rangam, so many places are there. So despite having Krishna's personal instruction present, you know, gurus being present, and so many facilities present, we don't pay for prasadam every day, right? For example, I'm just saying, right? We can continue our devotion even without paying a single rupee. I'm just saying it's possible that we can advance. Krishna doesn't look for how much money you are giving, but out of your own happiness, if someone has the capacity and someone utilizes that, that's a good thing. But if someone doesn't have capacity, then also he or she is welcome, fully welcome to take advantage of the facility and become a pure devotee, right? So this is the, as good as it can get, right? As simple as that. So Bhagavatam from the beginning, it's mentioned about the fortune of meeting a bona fide spiritual master. First canto itself, 1:12, right? 1:22. It's mentioned, Twam na sandarsito dhatra, dustaram nistitir satam, kaling sattoharam punsam, karnadhara ivarnava. This one, right? So what is mentioned? See, the sages actually in Namisaranya, they are basically expressing their gratitude. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of the human being. So that's the facility of having a bona fide leader, a spiritual master, right? So we should be grateful. So gratitude and means this kritagyata, right? So gratitude is our humility. These are very important elements which attracts the mercy of the Lord, right? So like that. So sages are expressing their gratitude. They are grateful that Suta Goswami has arrived there, right? So that is one. And it applies, in our case, it applies to Srila Prabhupada. He is the captain, right? And then his bona fide followers, servants, right? The great spiritual masters who are fully, loyal to Srila Prabhupada. So they are the captains of our ship, our journey, crossing over the Bhavsagar, right? So for that journey, our spiritual masters and Srila Prabhupada, they are the actually essentially captains, right? So like that, this is one. And so further we can see the benefit, the importance, right? So let's see. We have 10.1.4. 10th canto begins with that, right? Practically. So let's see here. Nivritta tarsair upagiyamana bhavo sadha sarotra manobhirama ka uttam slok gunanuvadat puman virajyeta vina pashubna. So many facilities are available, right? Uttam slok gunanuvada is available. But let's see actually meaning. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is all mentioned, right? It is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple. All such facilities are there. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? Killing his soul means degrading our existence, right? So if we don't take advantage of, such sweet and beautiful scriptures available in Bharatvarsha, right? Under like in Sanatana Dharma, the Vedic scriptures, especially Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Of course, later Chaitanya Bhagavat, but primarily these three scriptures, right? So if we don't take advantage of such sweet narrations of pastimes of Lord, then it's like under the law of karma, one will degrade. Either lower species or under the law of karma, one might go to hellish planet also. Even if one go to higher planets by dint of pious activity, punya karma, right? But then again, one is not free of the anxieties, as we discussed in the beginning, right? There is always constant fear, right? And material world means problem will be there, right? Padam padam yad vipadam na tesa, right? Only the pure devotees, surrendered devotees, they are not interested in this material world. They are interested in the parang padam. So anyway, so there is further discussion of there is like how to not degrade our existence. So let's see that, this 11th canto is very interesting verse, right? Nirdeham adyam sulbham sudurlabham palabam sukalpam guru karanadharam, right? So mayanukulena nabhasvate ritam puman bhavabhing na taret swatmaha. Who is saying this? Lord is saying this to Uddhava. right? The human body, which can award all benefits in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, by cycle, right? Whatever. Means generally it's 8.4 million, but someone, let's suppose like Bharat Maharaj, right? He became a stag, like some deer, right? But he basically, after next life, he again received human body. So it's not correct to say that always, if one falls down from the human life, one will always have to go through 8.4 million species of life. That's not true. Depends, what sort of, how much devotional service or what sort of karma one has performed. So yeah, but anyway, although it is very rare achievement, human life is rare. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat. Okay, so human form of life is a boat. Okay, having the spiritual master as captain. Okay, so boat is there, captain is there. Okay, passenger. Who is the passenger, by the way? Our soul. Like our soul means we, not our soul. We means individual living entity. Soul is the passenger, right? Body is the boat. Captain is the spiritual master, right? And then instructions of the personality of Godhead as favorable winds, in correct direction. We must go in correct direction to cross over, right? Not rotate in a circle, right? In the middle of ocean. Then we will remain in this ocean, right? So we have to go in a proper direction. That favorable wind is there, let's suppose, throughout the journey, then it's much easy. So that favorable wind, that is instruction of the Lord. That is in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavatam is mostly narrations, but yeah, but Bhagavad Gita is all the formulas, all the instructions, right? So that is favorable wind, right? So considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of the soul. Killer means degrader of the soul. That willingly one is willing to go to lower existence, right? Or remain here, right? As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 14 chapter, right? I think 14.15, yeah. That, Satto. Urdhvam gachanti sattastha, madhya tishtanti rajasa, right? I think 14 or 15. Let's see. Oh, no, not this. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, next actually was, 15 actually. Oh, but anyway, point is we got that message, right? Urdhvam gachanti sattastha, right? Madhya tishtanti 18th verse, yeah. Madhya tishtanti rajasa, jaganya gunvartistha, adho gachanti tamasa. So adho gachanti tamasa means killer of the soul essentially. Because why killer? Because the soul's natural condition is Satchidanand, to experience unlimited, ever-expanding bliss. But if one goes to animal body, then what is that? That is effectively called killer of the soul, that person, right? The soul. So like that. So yeah, we went through like some example things, some points that it's rare to get human body, and then if one does not take advantage of the facilities, especially those who are born in Bharatvarsha, they don't take advantage, then they are killer of the soul. They are the most unfortunate practically, right? So let's come back and let's see. So what is there is one more relevant thing I will say regarding human form of life, how useful it is. Let's see here. So Lord is again telling to the Esa buddhimatang buddhir manisha cha manishinaam yas satyam nirdeneha martenapnoti mamritam. What he says, see Lord Krishna. This process, essentially following the Bhagavad Dharma, right? This devotional path of devotional service, right? This process is the supreme intelligence of the intelligent. Buddhiman ki buddhi, right? In supreme intelligence of the intelligent, and the cleverness of the most clever. But by following it, one can, in this very life. So see, we have to take the word of Krishna directly on the face value. We don't need to interpret or twist it in any way. Krishna says, in this very life, make use of the temporary and unreal to achieve me. Srila Prabhupada has given that message. He clearly mentioned to one of his disciples, I forgot his name. He says that, yeah, it is true. Srila Prabhupada, without any, complication, in a very explicit and clear terms, Srila Prabhupada mentions that if you chant minimum 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles properly, then in this life, at the end of this life only, you will go back to the spiritual world. He says that very openly. It's not a rumor. I'm not making a derivation here based, conclusion, no conclusion. Srila Prabhupada has openly and explicitly said this. If we don't have this faith on Srila Prabhupada's words, then what are we doing, right? That's the thing. So yeah, generally, can we say we are fully eligible? No, we may not be eligible, but Krishna will surely honor Srila Prabhupada's commitments. That's the hope we have. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranasati. Statements of his devotees, that never goes in vain. Right? We may not be fully qualified, but Srila Prabhupada says 70%. That means, in the mature stage, apart from our sleeping and eating and other things, we should be fully involved in Krishna concept. That's another point Srila Prabhupada is saying. So we should not take it lightly, but yeah, out of gratitude, we should perform some extra devotional service, and we should help the preachers and all that. Definitely, we should do that. But based on Srila Prabhupada said that, of course, for 16 round chanting in a sustained way, we have to take help of devotee association, right? And hearing also Krishna Katha, chanting, hearing, that has to go together, right? So it's a very sweet experience anyway, hearing Krishna Katha. So why not to do that? That's one thing. But Srila Prabhupada has given the commitment, chanting 16 rounds, following for regulatory principles. Of course, yeah. Again, I don't want to repeat myself. The point is, yeah, means process is given. This is the minimal process is given, and we don't, fully fathom how compassionate it is. That the process, that only doing this much we can reach the supreme, right? Imagine, see, our tongue, it is body is made of Pancha Mahabhut, right? But just by using this small tongue, right, such a small thing in material, manifestation, by using tongue properly, chanting Krishna's name and glorifying Krishna by either bhajan or narrating his pastimes from different scriptures, specifically Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, right? Just by utilizing tongue by tasting only his prasad and narrating his pastimes, we can achieve perfection of human life, and go back, go back to a spiritual world, right? That's a very, simple bargain. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to say, about the rarity of human life, and the process has been made very easy in today's time by the unlimited mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and by Srila Prabhupada. So this is all I wanted to say. Last one point I missed out. Yeah. So when we become parents, right? We are, let's go, some of us are parents, right? So it is our responsibility that from the beginning of the child, from the beginning of the life, as soon as possible, when child starts speaking, we should induce the child or children to pick up Krishna Bhakti, right? Prahlad Maharaj says, Pamaratrach Pragya, right? For that, basically, it is the responsibility of parents. Of course, Krishna sends only those souls, Krishna sends the souls to a particular family based on their karma. But let's suppose those parents come into Krishna consciousness, then they should be very careful how to bring up the children in Bhakti. As soon as possible, we should connect the children in Krishna Bhakti. So that is like fulfilling the role of parents. Yeah, I will end here. If there is any question, we can discuss. Okay, looks like we don't have any question, so we can stop. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we can stop here. Yeah.
Discussion today. So I have a very simple query. So it's not a question.
Yep.
You said, Sri Prabhupada said that if you chant your 16 rounds and if you follow, 16 rounds and follow 4 regular.
Hello, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you are not audible now.
Yes. Directly. Where is it quoted? If you can just
it is. Reference. Yeah. Let me show you the preference. Yeah, in this life only. Yeah, that's very, very
that's
good that you asked. I'm extremely happy that you asked. Let this open. And some there was some gray area in the minds of devotees regarding this, and many of them asked about this, and I had full faith that Srila Prabhupada has said this. Let's see that right now. Okay, I have shared with so many devotees regarding this. Let me open that link. Exactly. Letter to Amogha. He has said to several places. So this is the letter to Amogha, December 26, 1972, Bombay, letter to Amogha. Let's see here. please accept my blessings, my dear Mohan. I wish to acknowledge, receive all that, right? I'm like blessings and other thing. Then he says, if you continue in this way, right? And then strictly follow the 4 regulative principles, making sure to chant at least 16 rounds on the beach daily. It is without a doubt that at the end of this lifetime, you can go back home, back to God. Here is the proof from Srila Prabhupada. And there have been, and it is most important thing to be clear in today's time in ISKCON society. Many devotees have been, unknowingly, by genuine mistake, they have been saying, no, it might take several lives. It will take Bahunam Janmanam. No, this is the special causeless mercy of Srila Prabhupada and special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, this is one place I am showing. There are several places which where Srila Prabhupada has said that if you strictly follow the 4 regulative principles, this is important. Now, there are levels of, that illicit sex that we all understand that mentally also we should avoid thinking about or lusting about extramarital things, all those things, right? So that all included here. It is possible. By how? By parang drashtvani vartate, by getting higher taste. For that, we have to plead every day to the Lord, in front of the Lord. When we go to the temple or our home altar, we have to pray to the Lord that please give me higher taste, genuine higher taste, so that, even when I am alone and, and apart from devotees, even then, my mind should not try to release something which is not good, right? So we have to pray that Vigyapti process, acknowledgement, exchanging with the Lord, that works actually. That process works. Acharyas have told Vigyapti, exchanging, standing in front of the Lord, opening our heart, very patiently, very openly, and then praying to the Lord for the protection. That is a bona fide process and it works. I am just saying, Srila Prabhupada, simple answer to your question, Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada openly said this many places. This is one place which I have kept a ready-made reference. So now I hope it's clear.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So now we should be able to clarify others also that no, it's not multi-lifetime. If we follow 4 regulative principles strictly and chant 16 rounds every day, we will go back to God. That is Srila Prabhupada's commitment, and Krishna will surely honor Srila Prabhupada's devotee like Srila Prabhupada's words. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.